Yo, Anton, you're here. He's in the house. I'm just lost in my own world. What's happening, gentlemen? How's everybody doing? The tunes are off. The stream is on. I've just been like fighting with KYC because I have a buddy that called me. He's like, he used to be in crypto, but he left a while ago, like early. He built a company in Bitcoin in 2013, 2014, and he's like, oh, did you hear about the Mega ETH token sale, which is today? They're starting the Mega ETH L2. He's like, I'm in an airport somewhere. I don't have my passport. Like, I don't have my thing. I can't do KYC. Can you KYC? And I'm stuck trying to KYC for us for this token sale. This regulation is a pain in the ass. Why can't I just connect my wallet and get some token?
Are you gonna buy?
I think so. I wonder if I can verify myself. I mean, the thing with these IDOs is like these ICOs, like the ones that are on Echo or Kaito, like on the tier 1 launch pads, they're always gonna cook. Like every Kaito launchpad project has been a big cook. And what do I mean a cook? Like I'm not gonna buy and hold it till my grandchildren come around. Like it's a quick flip, you know. You know me. I'm not holding long term anything other than BTC. Like everything else, I see it as a quick flip. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the question is, what kind of price you're gonna bid? Are you gonna do the max, or because it's gonna be oversubscribed?
So I don't know how. Like the bidding thing is like it's a bit complicated for me because like I don't really know like how does it exactly work? What's the best strategy? Like it's kind of just, and I think a lot more of the IDOs are gonna be in that, like gonna have some bidding aspect to them because at the end of the day, a lot of these projects they can't fill their like they have too much allocation and they have to find a way to allocate the resources in the best way. So I'm not so clear about how the bidding works, to be honest. So I don't like, if you have a strategy to share with me, like by all means, like let me know, because it's more of a favor to a friend. Like this guy's a good friend. He's a mentor of mine, and he's like never touches. I'm like, are you back? What's happening? Are you back in the game? He's like, no, just one project, just one last dance. They can't stay away. So once you can take the man out of crypto, but you can't take crypto out of the man.
Yeah, I've signed up, done the KYC, so just going to bid and see what happens.
Good luck to you. Good luck to you.
Guys, the first rule of crypto is that any sale where you need to KYC is not the one where there's going to be any money to be made,
No, you have to KYC in all of them. Like Kaito Launchpad, like you can't get away from KYC these days, especially with these.
You had some perps dexes that launched straight.
That's true. That's true. Like you got a lot of one token launch model I'm looking at is on Aerodrome. Like there's a new it's like the classic IDO. Like there's no sale. Like a liquidity pool that is kind of launches directly into the LP or like pump fund or all those kind of tokens. But the thing I think the reason is like at the end of the day, a lot of these projects are being pushed by VCs, and the VCs I think have some sort of regulatory requirements that they need to meet in order to dump on your head, because at the end of the day, that's what's happening over here.
And Dudu, I thought that the only long-term position that you have is the one in MicroStrategy, because you're
MicroStrategy.
What is he talking about flipping? I was like, Dudu is a loyal man. When he
MicroStrategy as always. I'm loyal to Bitcoin because I understand Bitcoin. And if you understand Bitcoin and you're loyal to anything but Bitcoin, then you don't understand Bitcoin. But like I always say that MicroStrategy is not something I want to be holding during the bear. Although I have a friend, who bought MicroStrategy, I think toward the end of the 2021 bull market, and he held throughout the bear. And he completely changed his life. Like he's up maybe 30x on size, and the guy's like he went from being like middle class to being wealthy, able to afford like houses, cars, or whatever. Like that was a trade of his life. So And he's only MicroStrategy long. He's got no derivatives. He's like blindly follows Sailor. I'm not one of that. I thank God I got in a bit early in 2023, but I don't think it's something you want to be holding down into the bear. Like if the nav is compressing towards one during a bull market, then in a bear market I can definitely see some trouble for them over there. But I listen to you. I'm trying to listen to you, Anton. Like I try to listen to people that are wiser than me. So that is what I brought this webinar together for. Now I'm going to play a short intro video, and then when we get on, we'll do everything organized, GMs, little intros, and then we will go into the weeds because I haven't done this a lot. Like usually we profile founders, we talk about their projects, we talk about the marketing, the market a little bit, but this is kind of a new format that I'm playing with, and that I think is super essential, and that's talking about making content, talking about the process. Like I think that's a whole world of of value that can be offered, especially to people that are getting their journey started, to founders that are looking to bootstrap it. I know a lot of founders that might not have the resources to start hiring big teams but they do need some eyeballs. They do, like they might post once or twice on LinkedIn and wonder why no one likes them anymore. So that's why we brought this panel together. Thank you to Anton and Aram. I really appreciate you guys being here. Without further ado, let me take us to the intro video. Awesome. And then we will continue. All right. Welcome to the stream. We're talking LinkedIn today. We're talking X content creation in general. But I did bring two LinkedIn superstars, Aram Mukhalian and Anton G. Both of them world travelers, world famous. You've seen them on the timeline, so they need no introduction. But just because I'm polite and they're guests today, so I will give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. A little bit about yourself, just kind of brief words, and then we'll dive right into it. Content creation, your processes, your tips, tricks. Specifically, I'm thinking like the target audience of people that maybe need to do, they posting on LinkedIn, they're not so sure why they're not getting any traction. Like what can they do to improve? Let's try and get some playbooks. Let's try and tease some value out of it. But first, we'll take it to Aram, a short introduction, and then Anton, and then we'll move on to our first question.
GM, everybody. Good to be here. I'm Aram. I'm a builder. I have been in crypto space for about 8+ years. Apart from that, I'm working with early stage Web3 founders. I'm helping them with growth as well as personal branding on LinkedIn. And on top of that, outside of LinkedIn, I'm also a long distance runner. You might have seen some of my videos on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Cool. Here I am. I'll do a short one. So firstly, a dear friend of Dudu, and always a pleasure to, join when Dudu is doing something. So Dudu, really props to you for taking this, initiative to, add something more to LinkedIn, and I'm happy that I can contribute to that, with all, a little bit of my insights and experiences. I would like to think, or I would like to say that I'm a crypto enthusiast, passionate about the industry. I've been in the space for a really long time as a builder, as an entrepreneur, as an executive, as a founder, and very excited about what's to come. And that's how I like to introduce myself. But the other day, a friend of mine, he introduced me. He said this, to another person, that this is the most influential person in the region on LinkedIn. So it's
Yeah.
that's basically how everybody else sees me. The guy on LinkedIn who writes a lot about and
But I want to kind of double down on the way you guys introduce yourself, because this is something that I've grappled with a lot recently, and it's coming from being in crypto and being in tech in general. I always had like an inferiority complex that I'm not a dev, that I'm not a something else. Like devs have hard skills, they can't be replaced, and like there's something about like you guys explained you described yourself, both described yourselves as builders, entrepreneurs, but like there's I've met a dime a dozen entrepreneurs, or builders, right? There's so many of them out, so many every like guy in Dubai and Tel Aviv and his cousin has a crypto company, or has a project and they want to show you they did a launch, they have an RCO coming, but there are very few people that have what you guys have, and that's like real conversational starting influence on one of the top platforms for crypto awareness in the world. So, like, which one do you think? Like, just curious. Maybe you can speak to why you decided to introduce yourself as builders. Because at the end of the day, like that, most people will know you guys from LinkedIn for your content, right? They might not know what Aram like or Anton do even. Like Aram and Anton. Oh no, they have. He's a micro strategy bear, and he's got like, I see him in Dubai, I see him in Switzerland, I see him posting about stable coins. Like they don't necessarily know what you do, and I think there's something there, like about that tension between being a creator and being a builder. Like, how do you guys feel that? Like, what do you think about your that applying that title of creator or KOL to yourselves?
yeah. Maybe I can take it, and then Aram would love to hear kind of what you think as well, or how do you see it. I think many times the point is what's the intention behind the content, right? That's kind of like the first point. Sometimes intention behind content or behind being a creator is actually you want to sell your product or your service, right? You want to sell your startup. You want to sell tokens. It can be many different things. Why you are actually doing content or creating content. For me personally, since the first day that I decided to do content, and by the way, on Saturday, November 1st, it will be 3 years since I started doing that. But my goal was always education. So if you ask me, Anton, why are you writing about MicroStrategy? Well, I know the stuff that I write about MicroStrategy because all the things I put in content, I already know about it. So it's not for me. It's always my goal is to education, so educating other people in our industry, raising awareness about the opportunities, but in the context of strategy about the risks, right? And the goal of that content is actually to be multidimensional, so it can fit potentially many people. So it can potentially fit someone who's a regulator, if you're a builder, if you're an investor, if you're a founder, that you can find added value from that content. So that's kind of how I would describe it. But for me, it's just to be very blunt, it's education. And it's always for others because I already know the stuff that I'm writing about. So it's not for me, per se.
Yeah, I think education's important. Like, I want to get to Aram, but I want to kind of like education. You're trying to educate. You know, I think what I like about you is that you're not like you're. It's kind of very natural, very organic. Like you're not trying to make a buck. Like if you're coming on X, you see there's a lot of info fire, which we'll get into just now. People, a lot of brand deals, and then you don't really know when a creator or an influencer is talking something, whether they're being facetious, whether they're talking their bags, whether they're trying to pump a coin so they can dump on you. Like here with Anton, like you're getting just straight value. He doesn't need anything from you. He doesn't want anything from you. He's just trying to give. So that I think that's kind of something very like pure on LinkedIn as well. Like if I have to talk about the differences in the platform. But now I'm curious, Aram, what you have to say about this whole topic.
Yeah, I agree with Anton. Education is a big part. I'll try to expand that a little bit, right? I think if you're a founder and if you're solving a problem and you're trying to build something new, and especially if you're in the early stages, it's super useful if you are building in public. What does that mean, right? You talk about your journey, your struggle as a founder, and it brings more authenticity to people, right? So people start trusting you, like this is a person who's building something. uh, then the second thing that you do is educate your audience and specifically focus you on the problem that you are solving, whatever product it is, right? You talk about the pain points that your customers have. And if you create this content and you see that a lot of people can't relate to that, it's yet another point to validate your product. So as a founder, you create content, you educate people, and you validate your idea or product. And every once in a while, and I think you should keep that ratio between 15 to 20%, you can try to sell something. But I think about 80, 75 to 80% of time you should be educating people, sharing value, and it should be like, hey, I know this is a problem. Here's like a 5-step process how you can fix this. There is a free value. And if you want to go like advanced, also feel free to purchase this. So for me, content creation is like a holistic set of actions that you do. Most of it is education, and some small part of it can be selling. And you have to kind of maintain the right balance,
Yep.
because if you try to push 100% of education, then you are basically, well, that's great, you are teaching people, but then you are spending a lot of resources and energy and you're not getting an ROI, right? So you want to get some ROI too. But if you start selling 100% of time, well, people are just going to run away from you because they think you're just only trying to sell. So you have to find the right balance and just grow your profile from there. That's my take on it.
Yeah, awesome. Anton's telling me that the stream hasn't started on LinkedIn, but it may be a different link or something because I do see it up here. So if you're tuning in from LinkedIn, feel free to drop a comment. Hello, I'm talking to you on LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn really need to up their live events game because there's a bit of a lag here. As you can see, I just posted. You see here we're working. But anyway, let's start. Let's kick it off from the top. I want to kind of start it back, like kind of go back to the journey, the beginning. Like, when did you guys realize, like, what was the moment for you when you realized that, writing content, creating content, educating people, building communities around ideas is something that, you know, something that you were good at, you enjoyed doing, and you should dedicate more of your time towards?
For me, it was like a couple of years ago when I was running Solidate. It was a decentralized talent marketplace. Essentially, we're placing blockchain developers with Web3 companies. And I was looking for ways to increase the pipeline for clients. And I started with a cold outreach and I was getting some success, but it was super labor intensive. And, like the success rate was very low. So I thought, you know what, instead of doing cold outreach, why don't I create content? I talk about the struggles of finding top-notch verified developers and see what happens. And then I started talking about it. And after a while, I started seeing that a lot of early stage Web3 founders were coming to me and were like, yes, that's exactly the problem that I had. Thanks for highlighting it. I love your advice. I love your content. So I want to see if you can help me. So that was the moment of realization that you can use content marketing to start generate inbound leads. And again, as I've mentioned earlier, my content verified the pain point, the hypothesis that I had, that whatever I'm doing is actually relevant and it is a real pain point for people. So that was the moment that I realized, you know what, this is something people love. My audience started growing and actually it's getting me leads, which ended up converting into clients, paying clients. So that was the point that like a couple of years ago that I realized, you know what, I should take this seriously, and I started posting every day, and then it went on from there.
Yeah, I think maybe the LinkedIn event is happening on a different event, even though that I did open the event. So I don't know. We're testing things out like as we go along with LinkedIn. But yeah, thank you for that. I mean, I came to content creation in a similar way, like out of a need. Like I always loved writing, but I think when you realize the amount of organic leads and like I'm sure you guys get tons of DMs every day, and like the amount of organic inbound leads that you can get if people recognize you as an expert in your field, I think that should be enough to drive everyone to at least take this more seriously. What about you, Anton? What was your light bulb moment for this whole journey?
Yeah, so on my side, I mean, the story is a bit less glamorous than for Aram. So my motivation or inspiration to start making content actually came from a friend of mine. So I don't know if she is watching, but it's Birgit Rosipu, a very, very good friend of mine from Switzerland, where I used to live before. And she was the one, she kind of motivated me, said, hey, Anton, you should really, the stories that I used to tell her about crypto, what's happening, she would say, hey, it's very interesting. Why don't you write about it? That was really like that. But it came from, she was basically, she runs a marketing communications company for almost 15 years. And she does exactly that. So she creates a lot of content and strategy and execution for people who want to create content to either sell their products and services, build their brand or whatever. And she was the one that kind of like, she was telling me, Anthony, you need to do it. She was pushing me like, do it, do it, do it. And that's the reason why I started, to be honest. Now to tell everybody a story, how it actually happened. So when I did an exit from my last company, I had a garden leave. That means like you are at the company, but you do nothing for a while until you hand over all what you need to hand over. And then you start, when you're a free person. And then I said, okay, let me start, when I'm kind of don't have any kind of contractual obligations anymore, and I can speak about whatever I want. And that was on 1st of November, 2022. And I remember like she was telling me, okay, soon you need to start writing content. And I don't know, guys, if you remember what happened on 1st of November, 2022, is FTX exploded, they have bankrupted. And I remember I was telling like to Birgit, to my friend, hey, this one of the biggest crypto exchanges on the planet just bankrupted, it went under. She was like, great, you can write about it, So, and this is kind of like how it all started. And initially I used to write a lot about what's happening with exchanges, with market making companies, again, all about education. And to be honest, like my experience with content is like amazing, to be honest, like very blunt. Like since from the first day, and also just to share it as like an anecdote. So the first ever content I wrote went viral, and it was about FTX, So imagine like the experience, like you write something. I was not very good at writing back then, just to tell you like very honestly. It took a long time for me to learn how to do it. But like pretty much the first thing you write like goes viral. Viral means like 60, 70K views or whatever. For me, it was like huge number, And, I thought, wow, this is awesome. Let's just write stuff and it will go viral all the time. Obviously, it's not like that. You guys know that, right? But the experience was amazing, And now, on Saturday will be 3 years of doing content. I think it's awesome. I still am not doing it. I think like Aram, you mentioned, that you kind of started off, by sharing content with the goal of getting clients or getting your name out. I kind of never did it like that, but I think it would be also like an amazing experience to do that, because I think today with LinkedIn, with X, like if you know how to do it and if you can go viral systematically, I think, your company can scale like crazy because of what you do on social media. So I don't know, guys, if you see it like that, but I think like today, maybe it's more common in Silicon Valley or in US, but I think today companies strategically think about going viral on social media with a goal of, scaling their companies.
Yeah, I mean, the going viral is a very touchy subject, because a lot of people, they keep chasing that. I think a lot of founders that I find that aren't consistent with it, like, they also with me, how I thought content was when I first started, is that, you have your 15 seconds of fame, you have that one banger that you put out, and then you go from being an anonymous Joe to Justin Bieber overnight. Like, in fact, that's probably not how it happens. There's a lot of, there's a lot of small wins that you chip away and you start to, build it up. And you have to have that, you have to have the consistency as well. But it also comes down to good processes, because like consistency, if you put 2-3 hours a day every day towards content, 4 hours a day, however many hours, like if your process isn't good, you'll get one post out of that in a day. Like I've been at workplaces where the expectation of the social media manager, who's getting paid a high-tech salary and all the benefit, is to do one post a day, right? Which is fine on LinkedIn, but on X, people are doing 10 to 20 posts a day to be like relevant. they cross posting, they're on different platforms, like they're putting out a lot of content, and the competition is putting out a lot of content. So if you're not putting out a lot of content, you're going to be anonymous. So what kind of processes do you have in place? Because that's something I've been thinking about a lot, like how to repurpose my content in a way that people don't be like, oh, you posted that last week, but also like something where I can, okay, I don't have a post for today, let me copy paste, change a few things, mix a few things around. So kind of what's your process like? What can you share about your workflow that might be helpful to someone starting out?
Yeah. Adam, you want it or
yeah,
should I?
Yeah, I can take it first. So I think first you have to have a framework that you should use to write posts, right? At least that's how I do. And by framework, I mean usually every post has some critical parts. For example, you have to get the hook right. If you have a very bad hook, it's a lot less likely that your post will go viral. And then you have the body. That's where you're going to actually educate people or convey the value. And then you want to have some good call to action or PS or something like that, right? So these basic parts, you have to have this framework, and all your posts should basically follow the same framework. They can be different types of posts, but you should kind of follow the same framework. And then there is like other rules for writing posts, right? Like you should have a proper formatting. You don't want to write in these big chunks of text. Um, you don't want to kind of make posts that are too salesy, I guess, and you don't want to be selling in every post. So this is the first part. The second is like you want to have consistency. You may not have every single post going viral, but if you keep doing consistently, 1 or 2 posts per week are likely to go viral. So this is the second thing. And I guess the third part, the critical part of this process is that you should have some community of people, creators, people that you genuinely love and you enjoy their content. And you should try to kind of support each other because it's really important for LinkedIn. And I think for that matter, for any platform, that you have this cabal or network or whatever you want to call, and then these creators support each other. But they support not because they want to pump each other posts, but because they genuinely find each other's content useful. So for me, it's these 3 key components that I use for every specific post, and it's been working very well.
Yeah, and do you guys use AI at all in your process? Like, is that something that factors in, or are you like no AI, 100% organically squeezed, freshly squeezed content from the kitchen?
I think what I do, I use AI, but in different ways. So, for example, the first one is that I would ask Grok every day, just go and give me the top 50 news or tweets or whatever is happening right in the crypto space, and then I will kind of just go through the list and I'll say, okay, what do I want to post about? So I will use it as a tool to just gather insights. The second thing, that let's say I'm writing a post about some ZK tech, for example, right? Again, I would ask the AI to do the research, but then I would take all the pieces and then I would put them together. And maybe I'll just ask it too quickly to just fix the grammar, but I'll be the one who's writing the post, but AI will be doing the job of the intern. So, and that's because before I used to do all these things manually, it would take, I don't know, like an hour, and now it can take 15, 20 minutes. So I'm kind of getting 3x improvements.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I can continue on that, and then also you can tell us as well, like what's your process, how you do it. So I'm a big believer in AI, and I use it a lot to write the post, to change the post, to analyze what's going wrong, what's going well. But I think Adam kind of you said it kind of like how it works. You have the sentence at the top, or the whatever you wrote at the top. This is the first thing people see. That has to be top, because then that motivates people to read further, and then the algorithm picks it up, and then they show it to more people, and basically that's basically what the process is, right? I would definitely want to tell you, like, maybe it's interesting for people, like what doesn't work. So if you ask AI to write you a post, on average, it will be a disaster. Like, it will not work. This is my experience. So, and I just let me demotivate everybody who will try it and do it. Do not ask AI, doesn't matter which one it is, to write you a post about something and then upload it, because it will suck. It will not work. Just to tell you, like, that's definitely what's the case. Then the second, what I can also say is like for me personally, it doesn't work if I take posts from LinkedIn and upload it on X. Like it just doesn't work. So, and even by
Yeah,
that,
that's the next topic. But
yes,
that's
yes,
a huge. That's
yeah,
true. That's like the
yeah,
whole. I have a funny story that I tell a lot of times. I don't think he's watching this, so I can tell the
yeah,
story. But there's a famous meme of. I'll pull it up now. It's uh, "Don't shoot, I'm retarded" meme. If you guys know that
yes,
that meme, right? So I'll just pull it
Yeah,
up
yeah.
now. It's
yeah.
like a
On
yeah.
the
It's
movie.
it's yeah. I'm just pulling it up.
But Dudu,
Uh,
while you're pulling it out, let me just explain like why I think that's the case. So I think that each platform has its own culture, has its own way of functioning, breathing, how people work, how it is. And I think that's somehow ingrained in the DNA of the platform, in the DNA of the content. And if you're not matching there what the platform is all about, it will just not work. That's kind of like how I think about it. So I don't know, but Dudu, I know which meme you're talking about. I think it's a very good point. And
So
basically,
I
it just
put
doesn't.
that I posted this on LinkedIn, and
Yes.
like one of my like a older
Yes.
member of my family came to me. He's like, you can't say retarded on LinkedIn. And it was just like, you're right. I can't say retarded on LinkedIn because like all my high school teachers and like the rabbis of my community are on LinkedIn, but on X I can say whatever the fuck I want. So that's kind of it's not just different cultures; it's different universes altogether.
Yes.
But it's a lot easier to be, one thing that I find like what I'm doing is I'm on X the whole day every day, and so when I find something funny, I'll bookmark it or save it or whatever, and then I can some of the videos that I find on X I'll then post on LinkedIn because LinkedIn doesn't have any humor. So even if you're like 5 out of 10 funny, you're gonna get a lot of engagement on LinkedIn because the platform's just missing that. Like on Twitter, you're trying to like it's like LinkedIn is like a science class, and you got to be very averagely funny to stick out. Whereas Twitter, it's like the comedy saloon of Dave Chappelle. Like everyone's funny, everyone's witty and hilarious. So your shit posting needs to be like elite in order to stick out. So I think that's kind of what I find in the anything cross posting. But I've tried to do as little cross posting as possible, except for things. One thing that works both on Twitter and LinkedIn is personal stories, like thought leadership, like sharing like your successes and your failures and your wins and your lessons learned. And I think that kind of works across both platforms. But yeah, there's definitely very little intersection over there. Also, one thing about LinkedIn is that most people are doing one post a day, and most people aren't posting a lot about projects. Like if you scroll crypto LinkedIn, you won't hear names like Solstice and hear names like I don't know, Mega ETH or Limitless or Wall Chain. All these projects that are popping up on Twitter all the time because people keep it more macro. And we were talking about it the other day, like RWA content works, like macro content, like all the content, Anton, that you do around different jurisdictions, different countries, like I think that resonates with like all the global businessmen on LinkedIn. Like, oh, I'm from Dubai. Like, yes, that is the best. I'm gonna like that. But like, the more degen stuff, more kind of like in the trenches content, that definitely doesn't work on LinkedIn. Yeah, a little bit about my process. I would like to share this because I'm working on it now. So the way I see it is like I'm trying. It's still a bit of a mess in my head, but right now I use AI in a very rudimentary way. Like I have sort of chats per projects, and I'll prompt it for a post, or like I'll jot some ideas in my head and then work with the chat to get a post. But I am working now on a repurposing machine. So like plug in an article. So I write an article, and then it spits out 3 short posts, 4 polls, 5 videos, or whatever. And B, I'm working on a reposting engine. So it's more relevant for Twitter, but like when news is fresh off the bat, like and a project is reposting right off the bat, right then you can imagine you get an alert. This is the project has tweeted this, and the AI gives you, you should reply with this. You should repost with that. So you have like things that make it easier for you, and it's all on Telegram. Like we've built a range of bots on Telegram that you can interact with and create content with. But that kind of the automation side. In terms of the process, like on Sunday, I try to schedule all my content, a lot of short form stuff. So anything that needs to be repurposed, anything that needs to be, like things that I've saved, like just kind of like taking all the raw material that I have and structuring it into post. And then Monday or Tuesday, I tend to want to sit down and write something, with more soul. So last week, like my big post that did quite well is a post about Bitcoin and gold. I think those posts are going to keep doing well because again, LinkedIn loves the macro stuff. They love to, gold bugs love to come out and scream at you that you don't know what you're talking about. So, the best kind of the engagement is the one that you get, rage baiting normies. That's my favorite thing to do on LinkedIn. But yeah, that's kind of the process. And then throughout the week, like, I kind of try and find, other things that I can talk about, especially around InfoFi. Like, I want to kind of talk a little bit about that. Like, Anton, I don't know how busy you are on LinkedIn. Aram and I, we've spoken about that for a while, but like, how do you guys see InfoFi? Like, can something like that work on LinkedIn? Do you think? Because for me, I took a big break from LinkedIn for a while because, there just wasn't any budget going towards LinkedIn posting like there is on Twitter, and like Twitter InfoFi getting paid to tweet leaderboard activations, like it just changed the game, the content creation game completely. So, what do you guys think about the whole movement, and like, would it ever be relevant for LinkedIn?
I don't think there's a lot of demand for that or interest for that, to be honest, on LinkedIn. These are just kind of my thoughts. I think LinkedIn is a beast of its own. I think, we said it, all of us. It's more like if you have a product or a service to sell, raise awareness, people notice it, and then they reach out to you, and then you pitch them whatever you have to pitch them. I think that just LinkedIn is a very different platform. I think Dudu, what you said, it's very macro, not so much in the trenches. But I think you can do both, to be honest. As long as if you do high quality stuff, I think it will find its audience on LinkedIn, to be honest. Yeah, those are just kind of my quick thoughts about that. Maybe you have see it somehow differently.
Yeah, I think there's two reasons why it probably won't happen. The first one is the audience, and the second one is the technical feasibility. So on the audience part, you really have different kind of people on LinkedIn, right? On X, you have all these influencers who are promoting different projects, but quite often they're anonymous, so they have more leeway to do things. On LinkedIn, you just have different audience, right? And also, it's not just the creators; it's also the people who are interested in this kind of things. You have crypto on LinkedIn, but again, crypto on LinkedIn is not the audience who's these early adopters who are willing to jump on any new RWA project or just ape into the new meme coin. So it's a different audience, and I think finding product market fit will be hard. Now, the second part, the technical feasibility, right? LinkedIn is a very different platform. X from the beginning has been more open. X allows anonymous profiles, but according to LinkedIn's terms of service, you have to put your legal name. You can't put a random name, otherwise they have the right to shut down your account. You can't scrape information from LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a lot more protective. It's got a lot more enterprise vibe. It doesn't even show how many views your posts get, right? X is showing you the views for each post. LinkedIn doesn't show that. So if you are a third-party service like Kaito and you try to scrape LinkedIn, I think they might just shut you down. They might even sue you. And I know some founders who tried to do some similar things, like they were basically trying to scrape data off LinkedIn, and LinkedIn actually did sue them. So they had to stop what they were doing. So I think you are kind of comparing two very different platforms who have very different philosophies. X is more open space, and LinkedIn is this more enterprise space. So you have to play by its rules. So for these two reasons, I don't think it's feasible on LinkedIn. at least the
Just
way it's been done on X.
Yeah, just I wanted to add like two things that what I noticed. So first of all, recently we have purchased some, I mean, we worked with a couple of influencers on X, to promote the platform, promote the exchange, and these influencers on X have big communities, a lot of followers, a lot of views. So just to tell you, like my hands-on experience, all of these views are complete nonsense. You basically buy with an influencer that he posts about your project or whatever. The post prints like 50K views, you get like one sign up. This is, yeah, and this was consistently actually what I have seen. These views
Yeah.
don't bring you anything. It's complete garbage actually, which was like for me like quite shocking. And these are really some of the top names that we tried a bit, and then you see that doesn't work, then we stopped actually. So this is the
Yeah.
first thing. Like the views on X are just garbage in terms of at least what we try to do. No conversion. Second thing is like what I don't like about X. It's like it's a bot infested nonsense with a bunch of random stuff. I try to read the comments. I read the headline. I read the comments. Comments is all from bots. It's just complete nonsense. Like it's become I think it's like tilting too much on one side of the spectrum or the pendulum, and it's just I don't know what they did there, and I don't use. That's the reason also why I don't use X a lot. But I think to say X, what they did with bots there is just annoying as hell, and it just doesn't add value. And worst of all, from all of this, the views on X, see, are not real. They don't lead to any conversion, from what I have seen so
Yeah.
far.
I
Yeah,
think
I'm
that
sorry to hear about your experience with the KOLs. That's kind of par for the course, unfortunately.
Garbage, unfortunately. Unfortunately,
yeah.
all garbage. Yeah.
I think that's one of the strengths of LinkedIn is that you do have fake people, but a lot of the top people, they actually are real people. And how do you know that? Like you can go to our profiles. I'm just looking at Anton's profile. It says verified by persona. I'm using Dudu's profile again, verified profile, same for mine, right? So you actually go to their profile and know, okay, this is a real, legit human being. And the way X is doing, you get a blue check mark, but I guess it just hinges on the subscription, and a lot of the profiles don't have it. So you probably should go like 50-50. Is it a bot? Is it a human? So this is another strength of LinkedIn that I really like. And I think some of the top voices on LinkedIn, all of them have this verified feature, which is becoming more and more common.
Yeah. Aram, just to tell you, many times, when people connect with me, I reply. I mean, it takes me sometimes time, but I reply to everybody. And then they even say, like, hey, is this really you or is this a bot? And I reply, no, it's really me. So I think even X is not immune to, LinkedIn is not immune to that. But it just shows you the challenges, right? It's like as AI is growing, like becoming part of the everyday life, it's just you realize that being real is the big added value actually. If it's really you, if it's really your thoughts, if it's your experience, if it's your communities, that's the huge added value. That's kind of how it is.
Yeah. So I want to know what the one thing you guys would do if you had to start again, like to kind of get where you are but quicker. Like what the one mistake that you made, or thing that you got right, but that if you would start again, you would just do it earlier so that you can grow quicker.
I think one mistake I did early on, I was basically posting about everything. I was posting about crypto, I was posting about Web2 startups, I was posting about recruiting, I was posting about my running journey, I was posting some leadership motivational stuff. So it's basically all over the place, and I didn't have a niche. And people were like, "Okay, well, what is he doing?" I'm kind of like confused. Are you like a leadership coach? Are you a Web3 guy? Are you talking about AI? Are you talking about tech startups? And then over time I realized, like, I think it's important to have a niche. Every once in a while, again, you can have some posts about different topics, but again, the vast majority of your posts want to be around the same topic you're passionate about, right? So if I was starting from beginning, I would do like a few things. I would pick a niche that I'm passionate about, and then I would start posting, right? I would be consistent. I would try to post at least like 4 or 5 times a week. And then I would try to share valuable insights with my community, adding value. I would try to find a group of people who are roughly on the same level as I am and try to engage with them and just kind of grow together. And yeah, I guess those are just the basic things. Just keep the focus, and I would document my journey. I would say, okay, I kind of started a year ago without nothing. Now I'm like at 10K followers, whatever. This is how my journey has been. These are the mistakes that I have made, and this is what I learned. And then I would just be sharing with my community. So, yeah, this is the biggest takeaway for me. Just keep focused, stay consistent, share your journey and learnings, and just build an alliance of other creators and support each other.
Yeah, I think the alliance is very important, and like we spoke about like cabals or engagement group. That's a very like touchy subject. Some people hate them, some people love them. It's the same as paying for engagement or whatever. Like some people do it, some people they know I'm only organic, but I think that it's super important to find a group, like find allies, find people that to engage with. And I remember at the beginning when I first started taking LinkedIn seriously, I would just spam a bunch of my Web2 normie friends. They were just friends of mine that like, and like some of them would support me every post, and like it helped when you have, if you have 6, 7 likes and no comments on a post, which is what a lot of these founders are showing up with, like, and then if you can get 20 people to like your post in the first hour, like that already looks a whole different game. And like you're giving, I wouldn't spam all the time because eventually you'll lose them. But when you write a good post, you I think we can learn from Anton what you did with FTX. Like whenever there's big news out there, especially in LinkedIn, like I feel like what works is when like I've had a few posts go viral when I'm commenting on like something that Joe Biden did or something that Gensler did, or like the Trump, the Trump President Xi meeting like in South Korea tomorrow. I think that's going to be a big fodder. Like if Trump can like tweet something crazy or whatever, like that's going to create like a good eyeballs on this event that you can then leverage off. So I think one thing that I would do if I'd started over, and I actually someone popped up a tweet of mine from 2011, 2021, yesterday, and it was a great thread about Bitcoin valuation models, like excellent thread about different stock to flow models, different models, and had like nothing's at all, no likes, no nothing, because like when you're starting off without an audience, like no one's gonna find you if you're just tweeting random stuff into the void. But if you're tagging strategically, if you're speaking about news that just happened, that everyone's searching for that, and the algo is popping that up, like that, or that kind of escalates this probability that you'll get discovered, that the algorithm will put you front of people's eyes. So that's kind of what I would say. Is like, don't be generic if you're starting off. Like, ride the waves, ride the trend, ride the momentum. Like, find what one thing that can work for an early founder is to kind of piggyback on other people's aura. So if you have a friend that's the founder, or if you like take a selfie with them, like share a story about how you met or a lesson that person taught you. Like once you're piggybacking into someone else's audience, like that if you everyone loves to read good stuff about themselves. If it's like done with class, then they'll comment, they'll retweet you, they'll repost you, they'll get friendly. So I think that would be my tip. Like, don't just tweet generic things. Social media is social media. Like it's like think of it. One thing I kind of heard about social media that really made sense is like, don't look at it as a popularity contest. Look at it as a camp, like an online camp for adults, like an online summer camp for adults that runs all year round, and your job is to just make good friends and stick around with them and do fun things. Like it's not a popularity contest where I'm putting myself out on the shop window. It's more about like the social. Like don't negate the social aspect of it, which means reaching out to people in DMs, like sharing why the post inspired you. Maybe a note about yourself. Making connections beyond the timeline. I think that's super vital because at the end of the day, those are the people that will interact, share your content, and that's how you'll get out of the void, out of the anonymity phase.
Yeah, and I will add one more point to that. one beautiful thing is that you don't want to just have a random group of people you've never met in real life and then you just comment on each other posts. Rather, you want to use the LinkedIn to build authentic connections with people that you actually like. For example, we have all met each other. I met Dudu last year in Singapore. I've met Anton over many more occasions, right? So we actually met on LinkedIn, but then we became real life connections, friends, and then it's kind of growing. So I think this is the power of LinkedIn, that it actually connects you to people and you love each other and then you support each other's content, not because you want to push the post, but because you genuinely think he's a good person. I love the content and I want to support this person. So this is the right approach.
Yeah, yeah, Anton. I think we can end off with you if you have anything to share about about this kind of what you would do to kind of get started if you had to get started again from zero.
So I think you guys, you really like. I think you said the most important things. I would definitely have to say is like the when I started, which was now like 3 years ago soon, and today the platforms work very different than before. 3 years ago, it was very important how many followers you had because the platform was showing your content to the followers. Today, that is a lot less relevant. So I think, Aram, you said we are social media platforms, but they're more like interest media platforms, meaning that when you write a post, the algorithm classifies what this post is all about and then shows it to people who would be interested in that content. So basically, in practice, that means that today it's a lot less relevant how many followers you have than it had before. And many people who build large followings a couple of years ago, if you go and take a look at their content today, you'll see that it gets no engagement, it gets no likes, no comments, no nothing. Is because it was built in a different time, and that time is irrelevant for today. So, yeah, I don't think I would do much different, to be honest. I'm very happy with how it went. It was a great learning experience. I met some nice people. Okay, yeah, I would do one thing differently. I would meet a lot more people that I communicated with on LinkedIn than I have done so far because I meet people very rarely. I even tell like I'm refusing all meetings because otherwise I'll be spending the whole days just meeting people. So I'm sure you guys have the same problem of, like that because everybody wants to meet or have a call, and I tell them, guys, we're not having a call unless there's something mind-blowingly important. I'm sorry, not happening. So I don't know, guys, if you have this problem, but for me, it's like meeting more relevant people and not talking them to anyone.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, so we're gonna end up early. I mean, thank you guys for joining us today. Like, it's first one I've done on LinkedIn in a while, and they've changed their platform a few times. So this didn't work like we wanted because basically when I started the stream, it created a new event, even though it created a new event with the same name as the old event. So people didn't even see you guys as hosts. It was a bit of a mess, but we'll have you guys back on once I figure out the way to do it properly. And we have a lot of people that are want to join these webinars, want to run one for their own companies and their own brand. I think LinkedIn is a hidden gem. For me, I still haven't managed to replicate the lead generation kind of quality of LinkedIn from Twitter. Like Twitter is a very different vibe when I get a lot of low quality inbounds, but I haven't managed to, like, on LinkedIn you can most companies CEOs, they're on LinkedIn. If you're selling B2B, that's a super important platform, and you guys are at the heart of that. So thank you guys for joining me. I hope someone at home got some good information, good some tips, and hopefully in a year from now, in 3 years from now, we'll meet the new Anton who says, I started on November 1st, 2025, listening to you guys about how to become LinkedIn famous. So thank you guys for joining me, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thanks a lot. See ya.
Thank you. Bye bye.